bizarre way. Actually, 2012 I had written Masan, which Neeraj Devan directed in 2014. So by 2014, that film was already, pre-production had started, and I was thinking what to write next, and I wanted to write something personal. I wanted to write something which I may be able to direct someday. That day came like 9 years. Like it will be out in theaters in 24. So that is a whole 10-year journey, which is just roughly the average amount of time it takes for a script to happen in Bombay. But I was thinking, and then something happened. I started thinking about the dreams I was having for the last 5, 6 years. After coming to Bombay, and recurring dreams, apart from the dreams of constant shame and fear and anxiety, which all of us have. Like sometimes you wake up thinking, okay, you are walking in the bazaar with no pants and all those kind of bizarre dreams. But apart from that, there was one particular dream. Recurring dream was basically I am in that home in Lucknow, uh, that school, the friends I made at that time between 95 to 99, that ages 15 to 18 kind of a thing, and I felt I'm very emotionally connected to that part of my life and that phase of my life, and I have to do something about it, something which can kind of express the state of confusion I was in at that time. And this story then automatically kind of started flowing, and then I wrote a draft, and we took multiple other drafts after that. And then in 2019, thanks to Jaideep Sani, uh, fantastic writer, someone I'm very, very inspired by, he sent the script to Mr. Sriram Raghavan and Sanjay Rautre sir to read, and they called me to say, okay, this is something we really like and we would like to make it. And then pandemic happened, and then we had to wait another 2 years to start the production. But yeah, so that's the broad journey and genesis.
As fascinating as your rest of your career is, and something that comes from that we all know Varun as a multi-hyphenate artist. A lot of people working in the space of art sort of build a career around a certain kind of thematic that we see through their entire filmography or through their entire writing. But in Varun's case, as we all know, like, the comedy is political, the songs are painfully romantic, and the film is a little far away from both of those things. And so, how do you traverse these different worlds and split personality hai aapko?
Yeah, I think so. I think all artists or all writers have split personalities in that way, that because if you want to write multiple kind of genres, or want to taste multiple kind of experiences in life, you have to have these multiple personalities in a way. And for me, yeah, I wanted to lots of people ask me, why didn't you write a political satire as your first film? uh, and I know for sure that even my second film or third film, which I'm hoping to write, in the coming years, are not going to be political satires, or even satires for that matter. Because cinema is a space which I feel is very different from comedy, very different from music. And cinema, for me, the kind of cinema I like is cinema that gives me a sense of hope, a sense of warmth, a sense of belonging in some way, and something which, okay, makes me uncomfortable but not beyond the point. Not झकझोर देने वाली फिल्में देखनी पसंद है, but not the kind of films I would write. I don't think I'll ever write a film which has even a gun in it. So that is the kind of I don't know person I am, and so I always want to compartmentalize the kind of emotions I have, the multiple emotions, and put this here, put my anger through humor in my comedy, and then my general love for words and vocabulary into songs. So that's how I
As your audiences, we are not complaining. The more we get, the better it is. The 90s nostalgia that comes through in the film. What's your abiding memory of the 90s? Your personal 90s nostalgia? nostalgia, which is your sort of the flagship memory of that time of your life?
So lots of things. Basically, music is the first one, and that's why the film has kind of. There was a soundtrack to the '90s, which is now missing because one, all of us are always have our earphones and all. Now no one is listening to songs aloud, apart from maybe if you take an auto ride or tempo ride in Lucknow and all. They are still, they are still listening to. Also, I think '90s have that quality that a lot of North India is still behaving like they are stuck in the '90s. Not just infrastructure-wise, I'm saying, but generally also. They are still, a lot of people in the '90s are still in North India today are still emotional about Ajay Devgan not getting Ravina Tandon in Dilwale or whatever that. वो एक ऐसी लड़की थी जिसे मैं याद करता था, सुन के अभी भी वो लोग रोते हैं कि ये मतलब उसको कैसे इतना धोखा हो गया, इतना उसके साथ गलत हो गया. So that thing is still there. So '90s has that quality that it sustained it, that emotion. So for me, the soundtrack of the '90s, which is there in the film in small snatches, there is title track of Bharat Ek Khoj playing somewhere, Ek Chidiya Anek Chidiya, Rangila, Sajan, Flop Show is there. So soundtrack is one very strong memory. Cricket is another very strong memory. Again, cricket, we couldn't use any footage because buying the rights are right now basically हमको मतलब किडनी भी बेचते थे तो भी नहीं मिलते, तो राइट्स वो नहीं मिल सकते थे फुटेज के because all the footage is with BCCI and all that. So वो नहीं हो पाया. But and the third thing which I really wanted to come through in the film is the sense of ease we had in that time. The sense of कि चलो साइकिल उठा के हम चल रहे हैं, हमको कहीं पहुंचना नहीं है, हम जा रहे हैं, रास्ते में कुछ दिख जाएगा, जैसे इनको डैम में वो जाते हैं, they are chilling. So that sense of calmness in life, that sense of aimlessness in life, that state of confusion which is like एक तरह का सुकून होता था उसमें, वो मुझे लगता है कि जो अब नहीं है. Now everything is driven by now आप यहाँ से वहाँ पहुँच रहे हैं तो आप तुरंत गूगल मैप, आपको पता है रास्ता, आप अपने घर भी जा रहे हैं कहीं से, आप गूगल मैप खोलते हैं, आप देखते हैं कि how much time it will take, is there a shortcut I can take. And so that was not the mentality at that time. I'm not saying good or bad, but that was the hallmark of living in the '90s. That we would just go, take our bike and go to the end of the city. वो शहर जहाँ खत्म हो जाता है वहाँ से एक रेलवे लाइन जाती है. We used to go there. And recently, actually, while shooting in Lucknow, so there was a scene in the film which eventually is not there in the film because we couldn't do the animation for that part. But it's basically Vivek takes his bike and goes to the end of the city, and there is a railway line and a jungle rail going through the jungle. And we couldn't shoot it because we couldn't find any good jungle around us. And when we were shooting in Lucknow, the hotel we were staying in was actually exactly the place I would go to take my bike to see the jungle. Now that hotel is basically, now there is no jungle. There is a railway line going through, but the jungle is gone like for kilometers. There's just city and no jungle. So yeah, so it's the sense of calm, sense of whatever aimlessness, which I think is what I miss about '90s and which is there in the film.
There are two questions that I have from this, and generally one is, of course, everybody in the team, like you said, first time crew and first time actors. One is like about how was the working. All of you are doing it for the first time, and such a young team of actors, not even born in the '90s. And what was it about '90s that they probably learned from you during the film that they did not know कि अरे ऐसा होता था दुनिया में?
Yeah, they did not know, for example, who is Mohammad Azharuddin. Okay. In fact, yeah, the last day of the shoot, they asked me, okay, इस dialogue में वो Azharuddin की तरह collar, तो वो कौन है Azharuddin? I was like, okay, you guys, okay. They didn't ask me before because they thought, I might, just throw them out. Last day of shoot पे पूछ रहे हैं. But generally they learned, I think they definitely learned how path-breaking Rangila was at that time for us, and the sounds of 90s, and of course the costumes and the lifestyle and multiple other things which they had to kind of live through. But also while prepping, we went through lots of old photo albums of my own, and lots of everyone from the team got their old photo albums, so they could see how simple and sometimes boring, plain boring life was, and that was good for us. And I think, of course, they saw lots of films from the 90s which they had not seen, lots of fun like Maine Pyar Kiya and all, which we know by heart, like पूरी फिल्म के dialogues हमको याद हैं, और हम आपके हैं कौन, और इस तरह की फिल्में जो इसमें कोई इम्पैक्ट नहीं है उसका कि कैरेक्टर कहीं देख रहा है हम आपके हैं कौन, but they should know how things that made us emotional in the 90s and things that made us cry कि रेणुका शाह ने को सीढ़ी क्यों नहीं दिखी है, वो चीजें जो हैं वो I think they slowly discovered through the process.
And then on a more serious note, how is it the process of you as a first-time filmmaker, all of them as a first-time crew and artists, coming together and meeting this thing together, and which also then turns out to, as we all see now, in something so beautiful and accomplished, and nobody would say that it's all a first-time team that is doing it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's the hope, that no one kind of thinks of it as a first-time effort, which is thoda sa raw or something. We wanted to make a cutting-edge film. I hope it has come out like that. But the experience was quite strange in the initial few days, because I've been a writer. Writers are, even writers are like, one, we work in closed rooms. Two, we take pride in being socially awkward or sociopaths in a way, that we hate the word. And then you go out and you have to work with a team of 100 people with 100 different ideas and 100 different, levels of ego and all. So it was difficult in the initial few days, but once we kind of settled into the routine, because ultimately the job of making a film, there's so many constraints, and if we add like ego as another constraint, it becomes really difficult. There are already like 100 other constraints to deal with. So I think once we settled into that rhythm, it was very smooth. For me as a writer, it was a great learning experience, that I should write in more detail, because on the sets there was certain questions which were coming from the entire team, sometimes from the art team, sometimes from the camera team, sometimes from the actors. कि इसका क्या मतलब है, या ये किस तरह से हम इसमें क्या इमोशन है. And for me, I was so angry on the writer, that was me only, कि ये क्यों नहीं लिखा है, ये तमीज से क्यों नहीं लिखा है, यहाँ पे एक्टर को क्यों पूछना पड़ रहा है आके डायरेक्टर से कि इसका क्या मतलब है. Then it was learning experience as a writer, that I should be more more detailed in what I write. And of course, you can never be too detailed about what you write. There's that scene of mother eating laddus and all, and at 2 a.m. in the night, one of the assistant directors came to me with 4 photos of 4 kinds of laddus and said कि आपको कौन सा चाहिए इसमें से. And I was like, अभी मुझे नहीं पता ये कौन सा, but he said आप ही writer हो, आप ही director हो, आपको बताना पड़ेगा कौन सा laddu है इसमें से. I was like, it was like a 15-hour day already. And we were shooting something very emotional. I think we were shooting the father-son scene right in the end. And in that moment, I had to go back to my 90s ka memory of Shiv Bhandar ka laddu from Lucknow Gomti Nagar to think कि वो कौन से color का था, वही लाते हैं. And yeah, so all part of the job.
We'll take some questions from the audience.
Yeah, front.
Already आप बोल